So we have some breaking news here. Former President Barack Obama just took to the stage in Erie, Pennsylvania, and he fired back at Donald Trump over his response to Charlie Kirk's killing. Obama responded by first citing Trump's own past rhetoric, pointing out the irony of his administration pointing fingers at anyone, before concluding with a forceful plea for unity, responsibility, and a return to shared values.
And so when I hear not just our current president, but his aides, who have a history of calling political opponents vermin, enemies, who need to be targeted, that speaks to a broader problem that we have right now. And something that we're going to have to grapple with, all of us, whether we're Democrats, Republicans, independents. We have to recognize that on both sides, undoubtedly there are people who are extremists and who say things that are contrary to what I believe are America's core values. But I will say that those extreme views were not in my White House. I wasn't embracing them. I wasn't empowering them. I wasn't putting the weight of the United States government behind extremist views. And that is when we have the weight of the United States government behind extremist views, we've got a problem. And so your original question is, are we at an inflection point? We're at an inflection point in the sense that we always have to fight for our democracy. And we have to fight for those values that have made this country the envy of the world. And I often say democracy is not self-executing. It depends on us as citizens, regardless of our political affiliations, to stand up for certain core values, because otherwise we may not have them.
Wow. Obama called the US to, quote, an inflection point where political violence is exceeding debates and turning into blame games. Now, he criticized the killing itself. As we all agree, it was horrific.
Obviously, I didn't know Charlie Kirk. I was generally aware of some of his ideas. I think those ideas were wrong. But that doesn't negate the fact that what happened was a tragedy and that I mourn for him and his family. He's a young man with 2 small children and a wife who obviously, and a huge number of friends and supporters who cared about him. And so we have to extend grace to people during their period of mourning and shock. We can also, at the same time, say that I disagree with the idea that the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was a mistake. That's not me politicizing the issue. It's making an observation.
But also Trump's choice to immediately cast the event as proof of the radical left using inflammatory rhetoric.
For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today.
Rather than urging for calm. You know, akin to how Obama himself responded in the wake of Dylan Ruth massacring black patrons in a church, something, by the way, that the head of the FBI doesn't seem to recall. Maybe that's worth noting here.
So Dylan Roof, who followed white supremacist propaganda, murdered 9 black parishioners in Charleston in 2015. Do you deny this?
I'm sorry. Dylan Ruth? Roof, can you give me some more information?
You're head of the FBI, you probably know this. If you don't know, that's fine.
If you can give me a reminder, I've got a lot in front of me.
It was national news.
Obama reminded the audience of that dark time during his presidency when he resisted the urge to assign blame or stir partisan fires. I mean, just for a second, can you imagine the Republican response if after that horrific event, Obama got in front of the camera and directly blamed them for the horrific attack?
This took place in a black church, obviously also raises questions about a dark part of our history. This is not the first time that black churches have been attacked. And we know that hatred across races and faiths pose a particular threat to our democracy and our ideals. The good news is I am confident that the outpouring of unity and strength and fellowship and love across Charleston today, from all races, from all faiths, from all places of worship, indicates the degree to which those old vestiges of hatred can be overcome.
But not only this, right? He also noted how prior Republican figures like George W. Bush, John McCain, and Mitt Romney would have responded by seeking to mend, not mar, the national mood.
I can disagree with some of the broader suggestions of that liberals and Democrats are promoting a conspiracy to displace whites and replace them by ushering in illegal immigrants. Those are all topics that we have to be able to discuss honestly and forthrightly, while we still insist that in that process of debate, we respect other people's right to say things that we profoundly disagree with. That's how we should approach this. Now, the last...
Meanwhile, the current president, well, healing and common ground aren't exactly in his vocabulary, are they? Instead, he leaned into division, calling out the radical left and framing political opponents as somewhat culpable here. Going as far to say on Fox News when asked a question on radical extremism from the right and the left, he said he, quote, couldn't care less about attempts to unify the country.
And we're going to look into that.
What do we do about our country with that? Because we have radicals on the right as well. We have radicals on the left. People are watching all of these videos and cheering. Some people are cheering that Charlie was killed. How do we fix this country? How do we come back together?
I'll tell you something that's going to get me in trouble, but I couldn't care less. The radicals on the right oftentimes are radical because they don't want to see crime.
And perhaps it's no surprise that Trump's words continue to divide. After all, he has spent years targeting Barack Obama personally. As we know, he pushed the racist birther lie that Obama wasn't born in the United States. He previously claimed Obama was, quote, the founder of ISIS. He accused Obama of spying on his campaign, calling it bigger than Watergate. And he even suggested that Obama should be jailed. And just this year, Trump baselessly accused Obama of being part of some Epstein hoax that he just made up, while of course trying to ban federal buildings from even acknowledging Obama-era achievements.
Imagine if I had done any of this. Let me just, I just want to be clear about this. Imagine that Imagine if I had pulled Fox News' credentials from the White House press corps. You're laughing, but no, this is what's happening. Imagine if I'd said to law firms that were representing parties that were upset with policies my administration had initiated, that you will not be allowed into government buildings. We will punish you economically for dissenting from the Affordable Care Act or the Iran deal. We will ferret out students who protest against my policies. It's unimaginable that the same parties that are silent now would have tolerated behavior like that from me, or a whole bunch of my predecessors. So, and I say this not on a partisan basis. This has to do with something more precious, which is, who are we as a country and what values do we stand for?
It's also never been more apparent than how he responds to the media, or the enemy of the people, as Mr. Tolerant here referred to them in the past. Yesterday, when ABC's Jonathan Carroll pressed Trump on Attorney General Pam Bondi's pledge to crack down on hate speech, something that many in the MAGA contingent have also taken issue with, Trump lashed out, saying Bondi would, quote, probably go after people like you. He accused Carroll of having, quote, a lot of hate in your heart.
And what do you make Pam Bondi saying she's going to go after hate speech? Is that, I mean, a lot of your allies say hate speech is free speech.
Should probably go after people like you because you treat me so unfairly. It's hate. You have a lot of hate in your heart. Maybe they'll come after ABC. Well, ABC paid me $16 million recently for a form of hate speech, right? Your company paid me $16 million for a form of hate speech. So maybe they'll have to go after you. Look, we want everything to be fair. It hasn't been fair. And the radical left has done tremendous damage to the country. But we're fixing it. We have right now the hottest country anywhere in the world. And remember, 1 year ago, our country was dead.
And even hinted to an Australian reporter that he was jeopardizing US-Aussie relations because of his tone and his question.
That is inappropriate, President Trump, that a president in office should be engaged in so much business activity.
Well, I'm really not. My kids are running the business. I'm here. You know what the activity, where are you from?
I'm from the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, Four Corners program.
Well, the Australians, you're hurting Australia, right? In my opinion, you are hurting Australia very much right now. And they want to get along with me. You know, your leader is coming over to see me very soon. I'm going to tell him about you. You set a very bad tone. Go ahead, John. Maybe you can set a nicer tone.
UAE does a deal. What does it want in return?
Quiet.
Mr. President, what are you hearing about the operation?
It's a striking moment of irony, right? An administration proposing punitive measures against so-called hate speech, while Trump himself regularly traffics in inflammatory, hostile language. Free speech, it seems at this moment, is only sacred when it flatters him or his administration.
There's free speech and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie, in our society.
Do you see more law enforcement going after these groups who are using hate speech and putting cuffs on people so we show them that some action is better than no action?
We will absolutely target you, go after you if you are targeting anyone with hate speech, anything. And that's across the aisle.
And as I've said before regarding Biden's response to Trump's assassination attempt or Obama back in 2015, words from national leaders matter, especially in moments like this. They shape public response.
As I said last night, there is no place in America for this kind of violence or any violence for that matter. An assassination attempt is contrary to everything we stand for as a nation, everything. It's not who we are as a nation. It's not America. And we cannot allow this to happen. Unity is the most elusive goal of all, but nothing is important than that right now, unity. We'll debate and we'll disagree. That's not going to change. but we're going to not lose sight, in fact, who we are as Americans.
What I felt this week, an open heart. That more than any particular policy or analysis is what's called upon right now, I think. What a friend of mine, the writer Marilyn Robinson, calls that reservoir of goodness beyond and of another kind, that we are able to do each other in the ordinary cause of things. That reservoir of goodness. If we can find that grace, anything is possible. If we can tap that grace, everything can change.
When leadership opts for blame over empathy, fear over peace, it just creates further polarization. And as Obama said, such rhetoric doesn't just reflect division, it deepens it.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.